As Columbus have just tied up the game with the Islanders, it's a good game too. The shots show Columbus being in control, but it's been a good game both ways. And Colorado's playing Detroit. Nobody cares. I don't think the teams care. Scoreless after one in that one. But I'm going to look ahead to tonight's games because we've got some big games. Now the Chicago Blackhawks are in Toronto, and definitely this is a game that Chicago can win. I'm being careful how I say it, but the Blackhawks are full value for their spot in the league. They're into that level now where the likelihood of them being the number one seed in the West, pretty good, pretty good. And Toronto, of course, is fighting tooth and nail. Certainly, the Maple Leafs will be watching this game very intently to see what happens and see if they'll be a point behind the Islanders coming into tonight's action, or if they'll be still a point ahead, or if they'll be level. Tricky, tricky. Montreal, Ottawa. Ottawa has to win this game if they're going to have a shot at winning the division. They have to beat Montreal tonight. If not, they fall 2 or 3 points behind, depending on whether it's an overtime loss or a regulation loss. Montreal, of course, wants the regulation win. It would be a huge boost for Ottawa if they can win this game and take over first place in the division. A team that I don't know if anybody's calling to be first place in the division. A team I did not say would be in the playoffs, but they are. It would be huge for them if they could do that. Nashville's in Carolina. Nashville should win this, but Carolina's playing spoiler relatively well right now. The Rangers are in Minnesota, two teams that have been struggling. The Rangers are struggling. Like it is a mighty struggle for the Rangers right now. And I think Minnesota pulls out of it, and I think Minnesota wins tonight. And of course, if Chicago loses in Toronto and Minnesota wins against New York, all is well again for Wild fans. They definitely, for instance, if Minnesota lost tonight and Chicago won tonight, then for Minnesota, it's got to be one of those situations where is it happening again? Is going to enter your mind. Washington's in Tampa. Speaking of it's happening again, Washington is looking fragile, very fragile, and Tampa, despite the fact that most of their centers are out, their depth on the wings is good enough that they can score goals. Most nights Vasilevsky's very good. He didn't have a very good game against the Leafs, but nobody in Tampa did. So clean slate tonight against Washington. I could definitely see Tampa winning that. Arizona at home against St. Louis. Arizona is also doing their best to play spoiler right now, but for St. Louis, there's just too many motivating factors here. I think St. Louis is going to win this game. The tank, the Canucks, are against the Oilers, and I think the Oilers beat the Canucks. I don't know if it'll be by 2 or 3 goals or how many goals it'll be, but I think the Oilers win this game. The Canucks are on a 5-game losing streak. The Canucks are reportedly instructing Coach Willie D to play the young kids more, and basically, we're done, is the message from management. And I agree. And it's the first time I've actually seen the team go, play the kids. And that's where the whole tanking thing comes from. And this is why I've always hated the term tanking. When I hear people say, oh, they should just tank. Well, players don't tank. Teams underman the team so that they can't win. That's totally different from the players deciding, we're done. I've even heard that with Dallas too. Oh, at this point, the Stars players are just tanking. Players don't tank. Management does their best to do it. It goes back to Mario Lemieux. The year Mario Lemieux was draft eligible, the Penguins and the Devils had a competition on who could put the worst team on the ice, and the Penguins won, and they won big. But it took about 4 years after Mario got there before Pittsburgh was really a cup threat. And yet, if you went to Vancouver fans right now and said, all right, if they do this right, they'll be a cup threat in 4 years, tank, 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 tank. But there is no Mario in this draft. It's just tanking is an art form, it seems. Edmonton was rewarded for it, tanking for McDavid. Buffalo got Eichel out of that tank job. Buffalo wanted McDavid badly. Finished behind Edmonton, but the Oilers won the draft lottery, and McDavid's an Oiler. So, these are those things that happens. It's sort of like Toronto winning last year's draft lottery. They legitimately were the worst team in the league, and Austin Matthews is a Leaf. But at number 2, Winnipeg, who wasn't a horrible team last year, get the number 2 draft pick and draft Laine. So that's kind of what the draft lottery is meant to do. So while I appreciate the Canucks losing some games here and falling further back, they could lose the draft lottery, and the teams that are passing them could win the draft lottery. Dallas could very well win the draft lottery, and I'd be very happy if Dallas won the draft lottery. But it can happen. It's a crazy, crazy world we live in. All right, the only other game to talk about tonight is a big one for California. It's Anaheim and San Jose. So Anaheim is staring down the barrel of both Alberta teams, burying them. And they're going to do whatever they have to in order to make sure that doesn't happen. This is when Kessler usually has a big game. This is what Ryan Kessler's paid for. Is for a game like tonight against the Sharks. A key game to decide where they're going to finish in the playoffs and whether or not they can hold off the Alberta teams. This is the night that it usually will take place. Kessler getting up for big games is not really an issue. And it's funny because I don't like Kessler, and I'm not, I don't hide that fact. But he usually gets up for big games. And if he plays his game tonight, and if Getzlaf and Perry can play like they did 5 years ago for tonight's game, then I think they've got a real shot of beating the Sharks and holding off Alberta to get that number 2 spot in the division, the coveted number 2 spot in the division. Anyways, let me know in the comments below what you guys think, who you guys have in tonight's games. I'm not calling this game right now because it's already playing. But if I had to go by which team I think needs it more, I wouldn't bet against the Islanders. But Columbus has a lot more shots, so you wouldn't be wrong no matter who you picked until the end of the game when you're wrong. So I would probably take the Islanders. But it's hard to go against Columbus when they're out shooting the Islanders 16-7. Because eventually a goaltender will usually break down when the shot totals are that skewed one way or the other. All right, that's it from me for now. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And for today, I'm rocking Boston and Dallas right now. I'll be rocking something else in my other videos for today. And thanks for watching. A lot of interesting games tonight. A lot of intrigue as to who's going to win what against who. The playoffs are so close. We're less than a month away from the playoffs now. And I'm getting really kind of stoked about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.